All right, guys. So we are only a couple of days into early voting. And, usually it's true that Democrats overperform in early votes over Republicans. But it's when those margins get wide, that's when it's really a problem, because you have that much more to catch up with. And the fact is Donald Trump is washed up. He's been running for president for 10 years. There's no longer that silent Trump vote that there was in 2016 or even in 2020 when he was an incumbent. Now there's a silent Kamala vote. Donald Trump has been turning off, quote unquote, moderate Republicans for the last decade. And there's going to be at least a single digit percentage of Republicans who end up voting for Kamala Harris. You can count that up to 5, maybe even 9%. I've seen conservative estimates at 9%. And we don't want to get too carried away with that. We don't want to go too crazy because at the end of the day, Republicans overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. But you better believe that there will be a considerable percentage of Republicans who either vote for Kamala Harris or simply don't vote for Donald Trump or stay at home, which is going to be a major issue for him. Thus far, Republicans are outpacing, Democrats rather, thus far, Democrats are outpacing Republicans with in early votes by 300%, which is up from 273% in the last midterms, and even more than 2020, which is very significant because remember the pandemic, everything was shut down. So there were extra people voting early in that election. But these numbers show not only that Democrats are ahead, not only that women are coming out in big numbers, not only that there's a lot of, well, rather, it's showing enthusiasm. When voter turnout is large, Democrats win. That's how it goes. And again, unless something amazingly drastic happens, which it almost certainly won't, this is looking really good for Kamala. So let's go ahead and check out these numbers. We got the early vote. Thus far, 8,057,646 mail in and early in person votes have been cast nationally. We got 50% of those being Democrat, 34% Republican, 16% independent or other. Now, a very, very incredibly small percentage of that 16 is going to go to someone like Jill Stein. She's not going to soak up a big percentage of that. Most of that is going to go to one of the two candidates. So let's split that in half, at least maybe, and add that to Kamala and add some of that to Donald Trump as well. The age is pretty much the same. And these are all the states. We're going to look at the battleground states in a sec. But it's pretty much the same for the age breakdown in every state. You got like 50, like roughly 60% plus or somewhere around there of voters who are 65 and older who are doing it early. That's the most reliable voting block anyway. And then it pretty much looks like this all the way through. 50 to 64, 22, 8%, 40 to 49, 6%, 30 to 39, and then 5%, 18 to 29. Gender 53% women, 45% men. Women vote more consistently than men anyway. Not only that, but obviously there's more women than men in the country and the world, but in the country. And the reversal of Roe v. Wade has been a political disaster for Republicans. It just has. There was no red wave in 2022, and a lot of that had to do with the Dobbs decision, the reversal of Roe. 20 states where women are living in this country where they have abortion bans or strict abortion rules. You know, many women have bled out, faced unnecessary turmoil and tragedy because of our laws, because doctors will turn them away at the emergency room and things like that. That's having massive political ramifications. So again, massive outperformance by Democrats. That's creating a blue wall, and it just makes it that much more difficult for Trump to catch up on election day. Because what you gotta keep in mind is, one of the biggest benefits of voting early is once it's done, it's done. You could have quite some time to vote early. A lot of people are busy. Obviously, people have jobs, people have kids, people have lives, responsibilities, obligations. On election day there's going to be a sizable chunk, maybe 10% of registered voters. Okay, maybe a little less, but you can bump that up there about that. of registered voters who don't vote for whatever reason. Maybe they're sick that day. Maybe they had to work. Who knows? Maybe they're just not feeling it. You don't know what it is, but that's why early voting is so important. And Donald Trump is always discouraging early votes, but nonetheless, his campaign, though, is making an effort for early voting. And a lot of Republicans have voted in Georgia in terms of numbers. So let's go ahead and check this out, right? So thus far, we're only a few days in. Thus far, Nevada and Arizona Republicans are outpacing Democrats in early votes, but we'll keep our eyes open on that. North Carolina, Democrats are up on Republicans, but those numbers are still really low. We'll look at that in a minute. But those, North Carolina, Helene really took a lot of damage. So we'll stay looking at that. Where Kamala is doing the best right now, Democrats rather, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is absolute trouncing going on, and even in Georgia, where the Republican registered vote is high, Democrats are still winning. And again, you got to keep in mind. We'll take a look at Wisconsin first, but you got to keep in mind that there's going to be, factor in a minimum of 5% of registered Republicans who vote for Kamala. Max it out maybe at 9 or 10%, but you have to factor that in. There is a silent Kamala vote now, and especially with how unpopular Trump and Republican policies are with women, we've seen how that has, caused Democrats to overperform, especially since 2022. So here we look at Wisconsin. We got 40% registered Democrats, 19% registered Republicans, 41% other. So again, we don't know exactly where that went, but a lot of it obviously is going to Kamala, and some of it obviously, or a lot of it, at least half, is going to Trump. No matter how you cut it, this is a very good number. Gender: 54% women, 40% men, and 6% unknown. So obviously, if the 6% is like non-binary, there's very little chance that that vote is going to Donald Trump or the Republicans. So now let's go ahead and look at Michigan. And Michigan is a state where Kamala is having issues because of the Muslim American, the Arab American vote, because of Biden's Israel Gaza policies, or really just America's stance in general with backing Israel, kind of no matter what they do. So let's go ahead and where were we? Michigan. Here we go. Check out Michigan, 55%. And then if for early voting in Michigan, 779,484 have been cast, mail in or early in person. 55% Democrat, 35% Republican, 10% other. Gender: 56% women, 44% men. And then again, count some of that silent vote. It's only been a couple of days of early voting. These numbers are showing that turnout is going to remain high all the way through November 5th, election day, which again bodes very, very well for the Harris Walls campaign. Now let's go to Pennsylvania. Obviously, very important key swing state, 19 electoral votes. 66% registered Democrats, 25% Republicans, 9% other. Again, this is what you call a firewall. This is that blue wall. And it makes it that much more difficult for Trump to catch up. And Trump just simply he's his ground game has been bad. His efforts to get the vote out just haven't been good. His efforts to expand his base just haven't been good. So there's no real practical reason for anybody to believe that there's just this huge, massive, silent support behind him, because there isn't. 56% women, 43% men in Pennsylvania. Now we will go to Georgia, where things are closer, but Democrats are holding an edge, very slight edge nonetheless. 48% Democrats, 47% registered Republican, 5% other. Again, count in that silent vote from registered Republicans, but a high turnout here. There's going to be very high turnout, 624,724. And day three is not yet over. Gender: 55% women, 45% men. So Georgia, this is definitely a lot of resources are going to continue to be put here over the next couple of weeks to get that vote out. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is campaigning in New York and California, where he has absolutely no chance of winning whatsoever. And again, you go to North Carolina, the numbers are just really low right now. 63,806 mail-in. That's a very low number. Still, Democrats are up over Republicans. The gender gap is about 54-45. So these numbers bode very, very well for the Harris Walls campaign. It shows that enthusiasm is there. It shows that the voting base is engaged. And if they continue to put their resources towards getting out the vote, Kamala should, I'm pretty sure she was, this week she was with Charlemagne the God, and then she did Fox News. I think she's about to do Joe Rogan. She needs to keep doing that for sure. While Trump isn't doing it, try to, really what Kamala needs to do now is continue to make inroads with the left, but also honestly, what she needs to keep doing right now is trying to chip away at that Republican vote for those people who may still be on the edge. For the most part, I really don't think that I really don't think that there's much of any undecided voters left. I think that that's kind of ridiculous. But again, she needs to continue to make those inroads with the left, but also just when it comes to electoral politics right now, she needs to continue to go after those disaffected, disenfranchised Republicans, and the women vote. And again, these early voting numbers are looking very good for Kamala. And if they continue to do what they're doing, it's looking like they're going to win it all. Hey now. Thank you so much for tuning in here at Politics and Paper. If you like what I do and you support my work, go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it and really helps to support what we do here.